Thank you. I would love to stand actually, but then it's okay. Well, this is an event within an event. Great panel. And very interesting topic. Just before this, we're having a chit chat. And we were just discussing that what does it really mean to keep your customers, build that connection, keep that connection alive. What all does it entail? And then I spoke to them and we decided that some of them will share examples. Then we have two people, one from the content side, one from the three people from the digital side, and one from the agency side to share their perspective. So it's a mix of thoughts that we'll have, and we'll surely have a great learning out of this. Let me start, where should I start with? I'm thinking, okay, let me go to the, right in the center with Rohit, with you, to begin with. Brand loyalty, often spoken about, so much content around it, already been spoken earlier as well. But if you give me a sense of what Hero does, some real cases, how do you build that brand connect, brand loyalty? What all strategies do you deploy? A little bit of that initially from your side.
Thank you, Anurag, e4m, Ruhel, and my fellow panelists for this excellent platform. Ruhel, to your question on brand loyalty, we've been a brand for the last 70-odd years, and we're pretty much a household name. But what we've realized over the years is that the graph of, or rather, I would say, the connection of the person buying a particular product from the Hero stable and the life cycle of the relationship he shares is diametrically opposite. So the excitement of actually buying a cycle for the first 3 months is very, very high. It's like it really takes off, and then it just starts to taper down. So to really build a brand loyalty, I think it's very crucial to constantly have a conversation with the user with regards to giving him enough and more reasons, or giving her enough and more reasons to actually keep going back to the product. And how do we weave in the product into their everyday lives? So it goes much beyond their product promise of just commuting or taking a person from point A to point B. It's actually driving and establishing an emotional connection. And that's where brand loyalty comes in. That's where word of mouth comes in. And that's where culture starts building in. So that's pretty much the process.
Okay. Udit, phenomenal, success story of the brand in India. What has driven it? I mean, how much has the brand loyalty, the connect with them, the post-sales approach, how much has that been part of that success story?
So, firstly, thank you. Thank you for, inviting us and giving us this platform to share our thoughts with everybody. So we are a fairly young brand. We started our operations in India in 2017, but some things that MG has done right consistently is taking a disruptor approach. We are not a laggard brand, or we did not come with an approach which was, let's do something that's already being done. So first point of distinction for this brand was that we don't just want to sell cars, we want to be an auto tech leader. So every product that you see from the MG stable, whether it is MG Hector, India's first internet car, to Windsor, there has been an innovation disruption that we have done from the technology standpoint. And that's what's actually been recepted even in our brand health. So whenever we are doing our consumer research, younger audiences, millennials who are high on tech, who are high on value-driven experiences, are basically adopting the brand. Now coming to the fact that how much has after sales, post sales, or let's say business as usual experiences playing a role to it. So from day one, when MG entered the operations in India with Hector as our first product, what was the first deficit that the customer would have? They would say that, kya service milegi? Kya warranty milegi? Nothing about the origin of the brand. So we introduced something called MG Shield. I'm just giving an example where from day one, we gave 5-year unlimited kilometer warranty for our customers, 5 years of free service, and 5 years of roadside assistance. So some of those building blocks were the pieces that enabled MG to ensure that customers from day one get a worry-free experiences. Second is, from the point of CRM and customer experience perspective, we ensured that even if it's taking us more to go outright to build trust with the customer, we will continue trusting the customer more than saying, you know, we are questioning the customer. So internally, we have a philosophy called enabling exciting experiences every time. So we authorized our sales force, our after sales rep, that trust the customer and you know how we are building that particular fact. And a proof of the pudding is JD Power used to do the CSI SSI score in India. So in sales satisfaction, MG has ranked 3 times #1 in sales satisfaction, despite being a young brand, just 7 years old. And in customer satisfaction, again, 2 years back to back. So these are some of the initiatives that we took. Shield continues to be an outstanding product where any new customer is buying the car, it gets the assurance of service and reach. And obviously, first like iSmart connected car, digitization of MyMG app where you're able to book a service, get service at your doorstep, are some of the enablers that has basically enhanced the overall experience when it comes to the brand.
What has have the customers really, the next purchase has been MG after that? How much of that kind of percentage do you have that customers who are catered to very well really go ahead and buy the same product? Is there a data to it?
So there are two, I will answer this in 2 ways. If we again go by data, 65% of our recommendation comes from existing set of customers, which is friends and family. But if you ask me, what are the number of people who upgrade from MG to MG? Let's say somebody is a Hector owner. He bought a Gloucester, he or she bought a Gloucester. So that is again a fair number where approximately 30 to 40% customers are coming back, where they are upgrading their existing products from MG to MG. So that is again a testimony that if a customer is satisfied with the experience, that's why they are going to a next leap or a next segment of the product. And like I mentioned during our chat, the cycle of the customer switching the vehicle now has become really fast. Post-COVID, people are experiencing on JOMO, there should not be any joy
It's
of...
like 2 years?
It's now between 3 to 5 years. So earlier, the gestation cycle was even as high as 5 to 7 years. But post-COVID, people have realized that, they should spend on experiences that they deserve. And this cycle is shortened to 3 to 5 years now.
Right.
So that's why customers are also upgrading to newer set of experiences, newer set of brands, and the things that they love to do.
Wonderful. Remus, you have a unique advantage of having a brand that really has the recall. But besides that advantage, how do you look at the piece of brand loyalty and retention overall?
Thanks, Rohel, and hi everybody. So, unlike my peers here, the advantage and also the problem that we have is ours is what people would term as a grudge purchase or maybe a low involvement purchase, right? Because once you pick up a tire, then for the next 3 years, we hope you don't have anything or any issues with it. And then only you will come to us. And in terms of service, the only time you'd actually look at service is from a warranty perspective. Something's wrong with the tire, right? So for us, we try to build the relationship with the customer way before the purchase, actually, right? And that's when our brand engagement programs come into play. So the way we've broken it up is, on the motorsport side of things, we have a community called the Bad Road Buddies. And there what we do is we engage with the two-wheeler community, the SUV community, right from what you would call breakfast rides to, serious drives all the way to Leh Ladakh. And connecting with this community helps us on two levels. One is obviously product testing for the next lot or the next generation of product, as well as introducing these advocates. And I won't say influencers because these are advocates. They might not have the strong Instagram handles, but what they do have is very strong reputation in the motorsports community. So they come in and that builds us the brand loyalty. We like to call it share of heart. So we're trying to build share of heart in this consumer segment, whether it's two-wheeler or in the SUV segment, which are the big areas for us. The other partnerships that we try to build on is sport. Again, the TG for us is right. It sits with us from a tire purchase perspective. So we was mentioning that we partner with the New Delhi Marathon and 5 other marathons across the country and football. And it's the same thing. We engage with programs here to build that brand affinity. So and use these programs to connect with the audience's data for remarketing and then get into the sales process later. So yeah, essentially that's what we do.
I want to bring in Amit Verma at this stage. And, digital is a huge channel, a very dependable channel for all the brands to kind of cultivate and implement what they talk about in terms of customer retention. Give me a sense of the role of digital channels in maintaining long-term customer relationships. What are the best practices that brands can implement? Do you have any example which you will share with us where a brand really worked it, and a bad example as well?
So first of all, normally when we talk about brand loyalty, we think of it as the part where somebody has used the brand or its products or its services, but the loyalty part is also into the minds of the customers, which will in the future will purchase the services or the brand products. So that means Tesla is not currently into the market, but there are a lot of loyal customers already, right? So how that has happened, right? A lot of that has happened digitally, right? So a lot of loyal customers have been generated for Tesla through digital channels, through YouTube, through their websites, through all aspects. So there are two aspects clearly. One is into the minds of the customer, and another is during the purchase or that journey. So digitally, we are talking about the aspirations only, and there the brands have to, from a digital perspective, have to ensure. That means when we are working for the brands digitally, so we have been associated with brands like Lipton Tea globally. We have created their websites globally, and from their perspective, when we are talking to them and making sure that what they perceive as what is brand for them,
Right.
has to be communicated in the same manner, and there should not be some other communication going on. So that's one. Bad is a lot of examples, obviously. There was always few examples for good, but the the brands over here which represents are good brands. But I would like to talk about mainly the startups and the smaller brands, whether it be cosmetics or we just onboarded, for instance, FCL Skincare, right? They have been there since 2012, right? They have a website, they have an e-commerce website, but why is it that now we are making it again, right? There must be reason behind it, right? Everything is working, so why are we going to again build it, right? So the brand is, if you're selling to everyone, you're selling to no one. So you're very specific.
Targeted.
You're targeted. Right. That's what the brand is. So digitally, you have to also ensure that target is met when you are
Right.
doing your digital operations.
Right.
Yeah.
Before I come to Manan for the last word, I want to go to Amit again. Not again, I mean to say Amit in the sequence.
Thank you.
You have been advising brands and hand-holding brands in their journey to have the most great, the wonderful customer experience, build that, make that possible. What are the best, what are the things you would advise brands to do? What are the suggestions you have for brands if they want to have this journey, build this cycle, where the post-sales is also very engaging as much as the pre-sale?
So, so firstly, thanks a lot for the question and having me here. There's so much to do, and there's so much that every brand is doing. Actually, everything falls under loyalty, right? Finally, that's the tribe we are trying to create when we're trying to communicate. But if you specifically just stick to the zone or the world of loyalty, it hugely, firstly, depends on the category and of course, then depends on the brand. But if the category is a everyday FMCG or what we call it CPG now, it's a category you are interacting with on a daily basis. You're anyways creating interactions more and more. Then there are categories like, say, clothing or accessories where you do interact on a regular basis, but not as frequent. And then you go to auto, which is far and few. While it's from 5 to 7 years, now it's come down to 3 to 5 years, it's still far and few. Of course, there are interactions and service, etc. But the need to create that engagement is far higher there. That's the obvious one. But when it comes to even the engagement over here, or for that matter, any of the little higher involved categories, I think it's important to bracket that in 3 different areas. Firstly, if you equate it, the higher involved and a long gestation period categories, it's almost equivalent to a long distance relationship. Where if you really want to sustain the long distance relationship, you'll have to work that much harder because you're not meeting that person that frequently. Compare that to staying in the same city and you meet that person more frequently and probably less effort. Of course, you still make efforts. It's a relationship after all. This is not a relationship advice I'm giving, but yeah, generally. But when it comes to loyalty, there are 3 key things what we say we really need to do. 1, materialistic. Everyone, we are talking about humans. There is a materialistic side to it. Second, emotional. I think it's hugely important, especially for Indian consumers, to have an emotional connect there. And thirdly, regular check-ins. You cannot leave it to 1 month and then you interact with the consumer or customer for that matter. And by materialistic, it's simple, right? You interact more and more with my brand. I give you a certain points. You can avail it for service. You can sometimes send a movie ticket. These are all materialistic things, but it impacts. Just doing this makes you a transactional brand. You also need to create an emotional attachment or a value. One example is, of course, everyone will know it, Royal Enfield. They create communities, some of them created by them, some of them not even curated by Royal Enfield, but how they bring everyone together. It's an emotional connect that they're creating. It is nothing that they're giving, it's just a connect. And then besides that, what digital, what AI, etc. has done is the regular check-ins. And by regular check-in, I don't mean happy birthday, happy anniversary. I mean regular check-ins on odd day where you're not expecting a conversation. And you can use digital and AI without being creepy. Of course, that's the other thing. We cannot borderline on the creep part of it, that this person's always listening to me. But I think that's the emotional, materialistic, and the regular check-in is a good formula. Now, it depends on the category and the brand that we are in, and the percentage might go up and down. But that, for me, is the formula.
Wonderful. Manan, so everything boils down to content. Somewhere, whatever is said on this panel, whatever they spoke, it comes down to that content piece that will finally reach out to that customer in a long distance or whatever the case may be. What is the effective way of using those content pieces which brands can implement in making that wow moment for their customers? What can be done on that front?
So thanks for the question. Thanks e4m for the panel, a very exciting panel. So see, we've been always hearing this word content is king, and it's been overused, overheard. And today, while we are sitting in this forum, 50% of us are looking at a phone scrolling Instagram. That's content. That's the power of content. We're all consuming content. I see content divided into 2 parts purely now. It's savable and shareable. If your content doesn't lie under these 2 categories, content should be deleted. As all we consume, we are sharing content, what we want to spread. We are saving content, what we want to learn. So that's what the power of content has become. And that's happened across platforms. I'm not talking Instagram only. We are using every platform. We forward the best TVC we see across LinkedIn, which we like. We like the new print ad we put on LinkedIn. It's about the content that is being posted and the power of content. talking about the journey of the consumer today and the brands, it's becoming so connected that when a consumer goes to the buying vehicle, he's done the research at a very high level. When you're going to buy a cycle, he knows how many gears he has, what's the tire, what all is needed. So the cycle starts from the press of enter to the swiping of the card. And content lies in every space. And more or less, it's now no more about, we always were scared of saying, you know, a 40-minute OTT channel will not work, or a 30-minute TV, a commercial or a integrate will not work. Content has the power, if the content is good enough, will work at any duration. But yes, nevertheless, the shorts format has been brilliantly working across for all brands. I think everyone would get up and say reels work the best, followed by shorts, followed by long format content, and then comes your animated format content, and then comes your static content. If you pick up an influencer and talk to them about it, they will say we've stopped making any form of content but reels. So content is important at every stage of the consumer's cycle and for the brand cycle also. Yeah.
Okay, Rohit, I want to come to you. You know, one in your category is also interesting because somewhere we had a discussion on the infra front. We are still, there's little for cyclists at the same time, right? Has it become challenging for you to build communities like the others have examples, you know? One, does it really pose a real challenge? Second is, how do you use digital data? How do you use data to perceive your customers to kind of improve on, how do you use that part?
So I think as all my fellow panelists were talking about how important it is in terms of engagement, in terms of building communities, in terms of constant conversations. So I think our brand also really thrives hugely on building communities. You know, cycling as an act is something which people mostly don't do individually. It's usually you'll find a pal or a family or a son or a daughter or friends to ride along. And I think in terms of our long-term marketing strategy as well, we are moving away from just making better cycles to actually start building the culture of cycling. You know, I think we live in a day and time where we are inundated with, you know, sedentary lifestyle, over-dependence on screens, and more people are kind of getting individualistic and kind of really drowning themselves on screens. But deep down within, I think humans, us all, you know, we are social animals. We are used to meeting people, having conversations, spending time together with people. And I think cycling is a great social glue, which gets people along. It's almost like an escape. And what's more, it's even a great health tool as well. So to put a very firm number to say that what our community is doing to us, we have over 2,600 communities as we speak. And much like Royal Enfield, I think very pertinent point made by Amit, it's about the camaraderie of motorcycling. So similarly, cycling, I think, is a more collective you know, activity. And these 2,600 communities, of them, mostly are done or initiated by Hero Cycles, but the organic part of it, you know, it's almost like a community starts to build up in a RWA, two more communities form, you know, and that's how the culture is really growing. And in terms of making conversations, I think you talked about digital and influencers. We really don't believe in influencers. I think the right word for me to really engage with people on the digital platform is showcasing evangelists. We can't pick up people who really believe in the love for cycling. It's not just about getting an influencer with the next million, number of followers. But if that particular person can create a conversation around cycles and what he does with the cycle in his daily life, that's where the power of influencer kicks in. That's the way the conversation starts. That's where savable and shareable content starts getting created. So it's a mix of creating culture and giving enough and more reasons for people to come back and keep sitting on a cycle and keep pushing the pedal.
Right. Yeah, we have 5 minutes and we have the rest of the points, so we'll keep it brief. Udit, what is the next chapter in reaching out to customers, brand retention, building that loyalty? What is the next chapter in marketing that we are getting into, according to you?
See, again, two parts to the question. When it comes to the trajectory of the brand, we are a 100-year-old brand, technically. But what are we doing to build the long-term culture of MG is formulating the MG Car Club India chapter. Everybody's talked about the Royal Enfields and let's say even Harley Davidson and others. But what MG Car Club globally does it has over 70,000 plus members in the MG Car Club. It's a motorsports association approved car club, and we annually host a festival called MG Live, where over 5,000 plus people come on the Silverstone racetrack to celebrate camaraderie. As we are moving into our next phase of, let's say, retention, or as the brand is attracting the next set of customers, MG Car Club India chapter is what we've been working cohesively. Next chapter, like I said, even in terms of creating a tribe of accessible luxury, we've got MG Select, where a new era of luxury will actually begin. And as far as the retention part is concerned, see, we may not have that many touch points. So while whether it is digital, social, or let's say an evangelist approach to keep brand top of the mind in the minds of the consumer, how are we building brand love consistently through people-focused stories, through real people, real experiences, is something what we are consistently building on. It's no hack, it's not something that is new, but the question is how consistently are you building on real people, real stories? We have 1.5 lakh hectare customers. How are they taking the loyalty forward? So there are a lot of elements here where, while everybody is talking digital, creative, where's the human aspect of things? It's the actual consumer. So we are going back to the drawing board. MGCC is one thing that we are building. And like I said, for the other set of consumers, select in terms of new age and accessible luxury. But the goal is, if you're an authentic brand, how do you drive that authenticity with real people and real experiences? I think that's what we are striving in the next chapter at MG.
Right. So essentially, not to get carried away by the fancy words, the hack is being simple actually, right, in today's times. On that note, Remus, how do you innovate when it comes to the strategies that brand retention and brand, brand loyalty and encompasses? How do you innovate on those fronts? And how often do you look at refresh?
So just picking up from what Udit said, right? You have to keep it, and how you put it together, right? You have to keep it simple and listening to the voice of the consumer. So with the community, right? If you're going to let them, if you enable them enough, they're going to be the ones who actually will tell you the way forward. So you don't have to really reinvent the wheel or innovate, because if you're listening to the consumer, you know, okay, this is how they are looking. For example, with us, right? A lot of consumers in the two-wheeler space, guys who started off just biking, going for a weekend ride, now are moving to the adventure space, right? And therefore, we need to know that, okay, the adventure bike is the next segment for us to focus on. And we're already moving into that space. And I know consumers who are now looking at having one bike, but two sets of tires, one for their daily commute, and then one moving off for their adventure off-roading, right? So on a weekend, they'll change. How do we make that easier for them? How do we make that, the fitment, not having to necessarily go to a tire wala or to a store and make that? And that's what we're looking at building on already. Right. So yeah, just listen to the voice of the consumer.
Perfect. We have 2 minutes. Amit, to you, Amit Verma. Digital is also a crowded expressway in a of sorts. And how do you really stand out of that clutter when it comes to loyalty programs, that kind of communication? What is the best approach to take on that front?
Well, there are so many things. It's a disruptive time, first of all. Anything I say is valid for 6 months to a year. Right? That's the biggest problem with digital, actually. So I think the most important thing is to stay true to your brands and continue to maintain those values. We have a lot of smaller brands coming and becoming 300 crores, 3,000 crores in matter of no time, 2 years, 3 years, and they are challenging the bigger players. So a very hard question to really answer. But what I would say is that it's a long game. that matters, I think. Yeah.
Right. Amit, to you, what is the best channel that really enables, according in your experience, that has really helped brands with the after-sales part of it, the brand loyalty part of it? Which channels have really worked for brands traditionally?
So, I think when it comes to channels, there are enough and more channels. But one thing which comes to loyalty and works best, so when the moment you say word loyalty, an automatic thing is lifetime consumer banana hai. That consumer aa gaya to wo loyal rahega. The truth is, that is not the absolute truth. You might not have, because the consumer will go through life stages, you might not have product in each and every stage. You were also talking about hugely long term. So we are not talking about hugely long term. What works best in loyalty is the advocacy. If we can create more advocates through loyalty, that I think is the best.
Man, 30 seconds. Your quick advice for brands. What would happen on the content side as we move ahead as far as reaching out to customers is concerned? What trends do we see happening in terms of content consumption, content pieces?
I think consistency is the part. I think beyond that, if you're making consistent content, which is good enough for a consumer to consume, is the king. And across platforms is what we need to do. We pick up one platform and forget about the other. We don't realize the consumer is not going to the platform that you've asked him to go. So the content has to be made for each platform, and it has to be consistent.
Right. Wonderful. Thank you so much. We have the next conversation lined up, but thank you for sharing the insights. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much to everyone on the dais. And